Have you ever had one of those days where it feels like your emotions are in the driver's seat and you're just, along for the ride? Well, today we're going to dig into why that happens, and more importantly, how you can take back the wheel.
So let's just start with a really big question, and I want you to be honest with yourself here. Do you feel like you're actually controlling your life? Or does it sometimes feel like you're just a passenger, kind of watching your own reactions happen without your permission?
All right, let's do a little diagnostic, shall we? As I go through these next few points, just notice if that passenger feeling starts to sound familiar.
First one, you know that tone of voice, the one someone uses, and it's like a switch flips in your head. Can you even hear what they're saying anymore? Or does your brain just kind of go blank?
Okay, how about this? It's 2 in the morning. You're trying to sleep, but your brain is busy replaying an argument from earlier that day. You're thinking of all the perfect things you should have said. Sound familiar?
Or what about this classic? You've had a terrible, stressful day at work, and you come home and just snap at someone you love. Someone who had absolutely nothing to do with it. We've all been there, right?
And let's be real for a second. Is there someone in your life who knows exactly what to say to get a reaction out of you? They push that button, and suddenly they're in control of your mood. So who's really owning it in that moment? You or them?
Now, if you were nodding along to any of that, I want you to really hear this. Feeling like a slave to your own moods is completely exhausting. But, and this is the important part, it is not your fault. You're not broken or too sensitive. You just haven't been taught how this stuff works. So what is going on here? Why does our brain get hijacked like this? Well, to figure that out, we're going to dive into some of the core ideas from the book, How to Control Your Emotions.
The first big concept we have to get is the emotional trigger. This is a game changer. An emotional trigger isn't about what's happening right now. It's your brain having a massive reaction to a stored memory from your past. This slide just lays it out perfectly. So, in the present moment, someone says something in that certain tone. But your brain isn't just hearing them. It's instantly digging through its files and pulling up an old memory where that tone meant you were being criticized or hurt. That huge emotional wave you feel, you're not actually reacting to the person in front of you. You're reacting to a ghost from your past.
And that habit of replaying things over and over in your head, well, that has a name, rumination. And here's the trap. It feels productive, right? Like you're trying to solve the problem. But what's actually happening is you're just pouring gasoline on the fire, strengthening that negative loop, and draining all your energy. So what's the big deal? Well, the cost is pretty high. When we're running on these untrained emotional reflexes, people around us don't feel safe because they never know what to expect. We end up damaging the relationships that matter most to us, completely by accident. And we just keep repeating the same messy situations because nobody ever showed us a different way.
Okay, that's the problem. Enough about that. Let's talk about the solution, because there is one. It's about moving from that automatic, knee-jerk reflex to a deliberate, conscious response. And the book makes it so clear that this isn't some fixed part of who you are. This right here, this might be the most important takeaway. Emotional control is not a personality trait. You're not just born with it or without it. It is a skill. And just like any other skill, like playing the guitar or learning to cook, you can get better at it with practice.
So let's look at the 2 options on the table. On the one hand, you've got venting. That's the reflex. The book says it just reheats the emotion. It feels good for a second, but it just reinforces the negative pattern and keeps you stuck as a passenger. But then, you've got the skill, responding. That's where you pause, and you choose a deliberate action. That's what puts you back in charge, back in the driver's seat.
So, how do we actually do that? How do we take the wheel? It really boils down to one single, incredibly powerful shift in your mindset. And this is it. This is everything. You can't always control that first flash of anger or sadness or fear. That stuff just happens. But what you can control 100% of the time is what you do next. That space between the feeling and the action, that's where your power is. And that's the whole point, isn't it? You've been a passenger for long enough, letting old memories and automatic reactions steer your life. It is time to take the wheel. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. Just imagine for a second that you never overreacted again. What would you do with all that mental and emotional energy you'd get back? What would you create? What would you build? What could you finally do once you were the one who was truly in control?